Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum. We're live on Radio 1 FM 90, broadcasting from the Central Building here in the home of City, Kampala. We are also live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. You can also find us on the different radio listening apps. Those can be obtained from the Google Store of your smartphone. When you download any, look for Radio 1 FM 90. And as long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to listen to us. Radio 1 also provides you another alternative of listening via your TV set. That is, if you have a DSTV connection, look for audio channel 897. And on Star Times, our audio channel there is 97. My name is Kenneth Lukagandason, your host. And today we'll be looking at the update of the NRM party membership register ahead of the 2026 polls. Now, earlier today, the NRM party officially started the implementation of its 2026 electoral roadmap, with the party chairman launching the digitalized update of the register of the party, we can say a register of members or voters, and he warned those handling the process that they risk being charged with fraud should they mismanage this exercise. He also warned the party about being infiltrated by the opposition members who allegedly have hatched plans to distort the primaries of the party. Now, one of the other key issues that came out in the report of the Secretariat was that the party now has 11.4 million registered members. Now, the NRM party has in the past been characterized by confusion and sometimes conflict, especially when handling primaries. And many have said this explains, for instance, why there are many independent NRM-leaning members of parliament and other leaders at the lower levels. So we'll be asking, how is the NRM going to handle its member voter register update? What are the likely challenges that should be averted through planning and implementation? You can join this discussion by sharing with us your views on our WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090. My guest this evening, the Honorable John Arimpa Chijaji, Deputy Chair, NRM Electoral Commission. Good evening, Honorable. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, listeners.
It's been a while since you last came to Radio 1 FM 90.
It has been a while, really.
It's a pleasure to have you here this evening.
Thank you.
All right.
I used to be a regular visitor here.
You used to be?
Yes.
And also in studio, Mr. Felix Adupa Ongwechi is the leader of a pressure group within the NRM, which is called Transformers Cadres Association. Thank you very much, Honorable, for joining us on this platform.
I'm glad. Good evening, our listeners. I'm happy to be here again.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll be hearing your views also about this process. But let's begin with the Secretariat and Honorable.
The NRM's voters register has somehow evaded us. If I go slightly in the history of the NRM register, you remember around 2014, there was the famous Nina Amama Baba's register. You remember? Somehow things went wrong, and I think there were issues that had not been paid, something had not been done. But somehow when we went into the commission around that time, we did not inherit even a single name. We did not get the register. But fortunately, around around 2015, the then Secretary General, the Right Honorable Justine Kasule Lumumba, came up with the famous Yellow Book. Actually, famous Yellow Book started with the Amama, but we did not find any copy. So Kasule enhanced the Yellow Book. We went into all the villages of Uganda, because our branches are villages, and we put down the names of the voters, and that was the first kind of register that the NRM had. 15, and they were generally fairly successful, because digitalizing started, but it could not be completed. So in most of the villages, we used the hard copy, the famous Yellow Books, and we conducted a fairly fair election. Then there was a process again from 2017 to 18 when there was update and digitalization. So that process, unfortunately, was not completed by 2021. And there was the famous statement by the chairperson of the party that all NRM members should turn up at the polling stations, at the villages, and using the committee to identify, because the register, it was not possible to digitalize and have it in time. So they voted by the usual method of turning up. And it was chaotic. It was very difficult to identify who is 16 or not 16, who is 18, not 18. So people voted. It was a bit tricky, but somehow the election went on. Because where we failed, that was 2021. So since that time, the Secretary said we had at least data, because the then Secretary General Kasero Lumumba had tried, and actually up to about 80% the registers existed. So now the data has been retrieved, cleaned, and the books printed. Of course, there are a few villages, some villages which did not have any register, which were created between 2021 and now, and those who will have blanks. So materials are ready, and we are going to update. First of all, there will be a display. Members can come and check on their names. And then those who are coming for the first time, they come and register. This time around, we are registering only the 18 and above. 18 and above, because immediately after the exercise, we are going to use the hard copies to conduct the structure elections. The structure election of the NRM. So that will be a big test for us. Because, we have structures for youth, for women, for PWDs, for elders, for veterans, for entrepreneurs. So all those will have to be elected. And then the mainstream of the NRM, which is the NRM leadership. So we are going to conduct that. Fortunately for us, in that election, once we have conducted the village, the 5 per village, per structure, then the remaining are colleges. We go to the parish, sub-county, town council, municipal division, up to the district level, city level. So we believe. So after we have collected data for about 7 days, we shall conduct the primaries of the structures at the grassroots, and then we hand over the registers to the Secretary General and the team to begin data, to complete the new members who have been recently registered or deleted. And as they wait for the main election, which will be then for 2026, in preparation for 2026. By this time around, we shall conduct our structure elections. Right. And we believe we shall have, as they told you, if you heard at the launch, we have about 11.8 million voters. From
11.8
million voters. From
million voters, million members.
Million members.
Million members. When you talk about voters,
million members. But many have become of age.
You are psychologically preparing the population.
Have become of age. Those who, because we had registered at that time, those of 16. So by this time, they could have been voters. At this time, they should be around 18. And they should be voters. But that one we'll see. From 17 million, because at that time, when we entered the data from the regional centers, actually from the center, people were paid, those data entry clerks, according to the number of entries they did. And with the computer, people wanted to earn money by increasing many names. So you would just get Kenneth Lukwago, put it, and you find you mean you click and you enter like.
So how are you going to make sure that this time around that the people who are in the register actually exist? Which is very important to avoid confusion.
People actually exist, only that they had repeated the names. But
so how do you eliminate that?
That one has been cleaned. Where they find Kenneth Lukwago, John Judge, then we cleaned them. Then where we find one name, that one we leave until the display time, and then it can be completed. And then we shall capture other details, including the national identification number or learner's identification number. Yeah, learners like at the university who already have
lean numbers.
Then under 18, then at least the voter locational slip, it has a number. Or if you have registered with NILA, the NILA slip which they give you. So something will be available for us to update, on the register and to capture the details, including the telephone contact of the voter.
At what level will the registration be taking place?
At the
will the
village.
people be coming to the headquarters?
No. In the 72,000 villages, because we have about 71,269 villages. So in all the villages, our branches are villages. So we are going to capture data to do registration in all the almost 72,000 villages.
All right, I'm going to come back to you to dig deep on some of the issues that were raised, especially from the leaders who spoke there. The chairman of the first national chairman of the party spoke. We also heard from the chairman himself. Their speech almost touched the same issues to do with elections, to the extent that he said those that will mismanage the process will be charged with fraud. But let's hear from one of the party members hailing from Lango sub-region, Ongwech. What's your take about this process? And in the last primaries, you were one of the people who was aggrieved, if I may remember. In fact, your organization, Transformers, brings together people who aspired to hold the party ticket at parliamentary level, but felt they were not treated well.
Thank you very much, Anderson, and my chair of the commission. So if I'm speaking here, I must be very careful because the chair is here that will look into my...
No.
That's a malpractice. That is influence paid on it.
Just feel free. Feel free. Actually, I feel happy because I would know what would have gone wrong.
First of all, as somebody who participated in the last election, we brought in a lot of issues after the election. There were a lot of petitions that themselves they received where members were not satisfied with the way and the conduct that election was managed. And then after that, most of our members decided to run independent against the flag bearers. And others succeeded, others did not succeed. Thereafter, we regrouped ourselves, those who had lost the election, and we were citing a lot of injustices during our NRM primaries. And we did mention to the national chairman that there should be reforms within the NRM Electoral Commission so that in the next coming election, we should not face the challenges that we have been facing in other previous elections. And I'm very glad and happy that it seems the national chairman has recognized this and has put himself into the line of reorganizing those issues that we have been complaining about.
Let's hear some of the issues.
One of the issues that we have been complaining about, it was the register. At that time, the Electoral Commission and the Secretariat did not know exactly who are their members. At that time, Electoral Commission led by Dr. Tanga Odoi and Secretariat led by then Right Honorable Kasule Lumumba, they had not reconciled the issue of party register. And that controversy brought a lot of issues in the primaries. And that is why at the end of on the eve of the election, the national chairman had to say, if you have a national ID, just go and line up and vote. I witnessed a member of FDC lining behind a weak candidate so that I failed. If I fail, then they will bring up their opposition candidate. And we could not chase the member from the line. He said, are you the president of Uganda? Are you the national chairman of NRM? There is already information that chairman has ordered that whoever has the national ID should go and participate in NRM primaries. So we raise one serious fundamental issue that we must clean the register of NRM so that we can ascertain who are members, of NRM. Reason is that Chair is saying that we have 11.8 members of NRM, which we disagreed. I even informed the national chairs. I said, these numbers are not right. If we have 11.8 million members who are now voters, first of all, of NRM, by the time you have a card of NRM or you appears in NRM register, automatically you subscribe to their ideology. And we present a presidential candidate. How comes that our presidential candidate gets 5.8 million votes? So there was a problem in the NRM secretariat, failure to have a proper register. Even right now, when they are saying that we have 11.8, we are not yet sure.
Well,
until we finish the registration process.
Do you know that in some places of this country, it's actually very important to have the NRM membership card than even the national ID?
Yes.
And therefore, there are people who looked at it as a survival tactic and chose to go and pick the NRM card.
And that
and
was
here's the number,
that
like you
was
said.
one of the issues that we raised. Very serious fundamental issues. I am now glad that the Chairman Electoral Commission, the Secretariat, I have witnessed the spirit of unity that they are working with now.
Okay.
I have seen Dr. Tangadoe actively participating. I have seen the Right Honorable Richard Todwong actively participating. The both Secretariat and the Electoral Commission are owning this process. It now gives me hope that it seems that the next election of 2026, it will not be like the other election. And this made so many people to blame Dr. Tanga. Even me personally, I blame the Electoral Commission. I said, you people, you organized sham election. There was a lot of this and that. But later, I certainly realized that no, this was not only Tanga's mistake. It was a collective mistake between the Secretariat and the Electoral Commission in poor coordination. But now, Anderson, as we go back to the villages, one issue that we need to address is cleaning the register and knowing who are our members. Even if we go to the village and have only 10 people from that villages and they are surely an NRM members, we shall be comfortable. But in an event, we start putting members who does not understand the ideology of NRM and avoiding, there are people who will come tomorrow. I've become a member of NRM, register me. But conduct, your conduct in the villages, your conduct in the parishes, how you live with people when the government programs are always there, how do those people talk about NRM?
All right.
What do they say? Those are the way we are going to know who are our true members. But these gate crashers who are coming at last minute, it is true what His Excellency is saying. There might be opposition who wants again to invade our register to disorganize us. And we shall not accept.
Honorable Kijaji, I look at a situation where you're being put in a tight place. As a political party, one of the strategies actually to grow, your ways of growing the support base is to register more members who pay subscription and therefore adhere to the party's ideology and the way it works. Now, you have a situation where you're being warned about being careful about who is joining the political party. Are you not going to be limited in the way you're going to do this exercise?
Not really. You know what happened, as Philip has raised, this
Felix.
When the floodgates were opened, that anybody with by the way, there was even a process. You were supposed to be identified by the village identification. The 5 people were supposed to identify you. But because of lining up, people just came in a line. It was very difficult for you to, in some areas, it was so chaotic that, it was not easy to chase someone who is not a voter. But it really opened a lot of challenges. We had a lot of challenges. It was principally successful in about 65-70%, but we had a problem in about 30% where people would raid.
Now that you know this problem,
in the Kampala area.
Now that you know this problem, and you've heard from people like Felix here, and there are numerous petitions that came to you after the 2021 general elections. How do you cure that problem?
No, we are going to. You see, 2 things. Like the question you asked, we are going to update. We are going to display. During the display, people will come and check their details and complete them. Then 2. the new members will come and register. But at each polling station, there will be this executive committee of the NRM, chairperson, vice chairperson, general secretary, then secretary for finance, and secretary for publicity, the 5. At least 3 can't fail to come on those 4 or 5 days where we shall be updating. They will identify the new members and say this one is NRM, because he's of age and this one. Then once he has
what if I have been opposition and I have suddenly decided?
Now,
President Yoweri Museveni, the chairman of the party, used an example of Bobby Wine. He said,
yes.
What if Bobby Wine
now,
says
what will
tomorrow,
happen if someone comes up and the committee will verify, because there is even an oath which you have to take at the small oath, which you have to swear, and then there's the movement chairperson and the committee sign. They can enter you in the register if they are satisfied. If they are not satisfied, they will not enter you in the register. But finally, on the 5th day,
Very good evening to you, and thank you very much
it will
for
be a
joining us.
baraza where all we are talking about villages which have about 270 voters, 300, most of them on average, except these Kampala and Wakiso who have thousands, but the others are small villages, really. Now, these ones, once then on the baraza day, the registrar will read the names. Chijaji, Kenneth, Felix, and the people say, yeah. Now, finally, they will say, these also came and because they applied to become members of NRM. Chagulanyi, I don't know. Mao.
Akena.
At the village.
Akena, among the president was using those examples.
At the village.
At a certain point, I was wondering whether
they would be introduced.
He was suggesting that they are likely to join the party.
Well, no, he was. I think it was. Then they will be introduced by a strong NRM people. Now, apart from the committee's recommendation, then the General Assembly, the village baraza will take a decision. Say, for Felix, we have no problem, but for John, I think we have a question mark. And those who have no problem will be fully entered in the register and become members of the register of the voters. But the general population who are known and their supporters, those ones will be entered without any ado, because they will be verified at the point of entry. And then those people who died, they will be deleted from the register. Then there are those who could have also migrated to other parties, and they have gotten identity cards of other parties. Those will also be deleted, because the decision will be taken as the new members join. And I believe transparently at the village. You know, the village doesn't tell lies. The village level, if they are not influenced, where you have, the challenge these young people had, people would even come with names written, and they would give them to the village registrars, and the village registrars would enter them in
these are my people.
These are my people. So that exercise would not take place. It will be transparent, and we believe we can grow, because new members will come, but we can also eliminate infiltration if the committee and then the General Assembly at the baraza will decide on who is allowed and who is not allowed.
But how big is that problem of infiltration? Has it really
no, it's not really heavy, like I don't know whether, but here in the Wakiso and Kampala, if you are not very careful, because the villages have over 1,000 people. You can register where you reside or where you work from, depending on your convenience. So, but most people register where they reside. So, people might not know each other.
Okay.
And you can easily have infiltration.
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We need to go for a break now, but keep your comments coming on our WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090. When we return, we'll bring in the views of Felix on this particular strategy, how they are planning to clean the register to eliminate the possibility of people infiltrating. But also, President Yoweri Museveni didn't hit on the possibility of intrigue, political intrigue, but said those that will be caught are likely to be charged with fraud and jailed for 7 years. What is he pointing at? Stay tuned. Radio 1 FM 90 will continue after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
We're glad you're still with us on Spectrum, which is live on Radio 1 FM 90. Our topic of discussion today, we are looking at the launch of the update of the NRM National Voters Register, which occurred today, launched there by the chairman of the party, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, at Plot 10 Chadondo Road, and tasking the party secretariat to ensure that this process is not flawed with challenges that have happened in the past. The first national chairman of this political party, Haji Moses Chigongo, telling the party members to be patient, but also to be transparent and avoid making mistakes that will be costly to the party as it prepares for its primaries to identify candidates who will hold their tickets at the different levels of election. Well, Mr. Felix Angweche, you heard there from Commissioner Arimpa explaining the strategy that they're going to employ to ensure that you have a credible and NRM register. Do you think that will work? It will work, but only that we need to put a lot of security in that registration. Not harder security, but our members who have been in the party. To be vigilant. Must be very vigilant. The village committee must be very strict. If 3 members of the village committee say, we have doubt about Kenneth, let's first hold on. There should be no argument. So that we don't have intruders in our register. Another key issue is that members who are already influential in the party, because we cannot avoid that. You have somebody who is in Kampala here, has got interest to contest. He can even send money to those village team and said, no, I have 10 people who are not around. After holding night meetings. Yes. And you wake up in the morning and you find that those names are already in the register. I am glad that to safeguard that, the village baraza will be there. So if any intruder has flunked in names during the day that we are going to have the village baraza, we are going to delete all of them. Because we are avoiding to have falsifications of numbers that we have 11.8 million supporters. Yet in the real sense, 6,000 or 1 million or 2 million are ghost. We want accurate numbers whereby if we are planning, we are budgeting, we work within those numbers. It will help us. And to me, since we have started this early, very early enough, we have adequate time, I believe that we shall not leave any gap. Starting early, it means that the party is prepared to close all the gaps. If there are any emerging issues that will be identified, I think we have time to settle them before we go to the next election. That's one thing I am happy with the national chairman, the central executive, and all the stakeholders of the party for giving secretariat an ample time to start this process. Those days we didn't have time. People were doing things at a rush. I am even sure we might hold our primary elections earlier 2025 to give people ample opportunity, even to bond, to reconcile. So by the time we go for the final election with other political parties or with other players, we would have settled out these small issues that have been affecting us. I am also seeing that there will be a reduction in independence candidate leaning to NRM if this process went on well. So that is one thing that this party has now done for us, the members. So I am just glad that chairman and his team, they are now working together. You know, those days we had issues where Dr. Tanga quarreling with Kasule Lumumba quarreling, but for the first time, I am seeing Dr. Tanga working very well. So it shows that there is hope that this election of NRM come 2025 primaries to 2026, it will be a credible election. And we want to urge members of the opposition not to come and bring issues inside our NRM. No, there is a guy who went and visited in-law, so they gave him a pig. And then he decided to branch in the trading center to have some marwa. But then bad boys were within the trading center.
they decided to steal his pig and put a puppy. So when he reached home, he found there was a puppy, not a pig. Then later on, he went back to the trading center and said, if they don't bring back my pig, what happened in 1971 will happen again today. So later on, those one who they were not aware of what happened in 1971, they decided to take back the pig. So when the guy went back home, asked the wife, go and open that basket, whether there is a pig or a puppy. Finally, he found there was a puppy. And he said,
there was a pig.
It was a pig. And he said, if you want to be a pig, I'm telling you today, I've found you now, you're a pig. Remains a pig. Don't again change and become a dog. So if you want to be NRM, be NRM. If you want to be in the opposition, be in opposition so that we can compete fairly. But don't come to NRM, disorganize us, and start jumping out and start
that is political strategy.
Be NRM.
That is political strategy. You do everything possible to undermine your opponent.
And you see, if it is their strategy, we now have got them. This time around, there is no any way they are going to escape. We are going to make sure that we registered NRM. And I am happy. As for us, we embark on registration. For them, they are busy fighting there, and So they
apparently caused by you.
We have not.
You're planting these seeds.
We are not planting, and
you're also not allowing them to do what you're going to do.
If it is true that we are planting them, you have just said it's a strategy. Then we will take it as a strategy.
Okay.
But NRM does not get interested in affairs of other political players.
All right.
What we want is free and fair election.
Honorable Kijaji, in his speech, the chairman of the party hinted on intrigue, where he actually said some members can want to have certain people eliminated. And even here, Mr. Angwechi, he talks about the possibility of somebody in Kampala, a big shot, calling the registrars or even providing them money and telling them, look, this is what I want and you must do this.
I know the most important tool of conducting a free and fair election is the register. And the way we have taken it on, we have found that we want a clean and updated register. We are going to make sure we recruit impartial election officials. Actually, we have recruited impartial election officials. We are training them seriously. Then the electoral commission must be independent and firm. We have supervision levels at national. We have zonal, sub-zonal. Then we have districts, sub-counties, parishes, and the village, because the villages are our branches. So we believe with this kind of supervision levels, we should be able to, and the firm independent NRM Electoral Commission, we should be able to deliver. Working together with the Secretariat, we should be able to deliver a very safe and good register. 2, this issue of infiltration is sometimes exaggerated. Because why do you think that the outsiders should be more than you that have come into your house or have come into your party? It only happens when there is excessive connivance, like
stiff competition.
Stiff competition will not bring in those kinds of things. Yeah, because if you are all NRM members and you are registering, how should you allow outsiders who are not NRM and known in the village? If it was bigger than the village, it would be difficult. Why do you allow them in? That means either the registrar is corrupt and is doing things which are not fair, but now the Baraza thing will sort it out, and the committee, the NRM village committee, will also sort it out. Secondly, the training and the equipping and the civic education and vote education that we are going to have, and the popularization. We have 4 elements playing. We have the NRM registrars or district election officials and their officials up to the village. Then we have the chairpersons of the movement, the current chairperson of the movement. Their role is to oversee, not to interfere. Then we have the admins. In each district there is a district administrator of the NRM who is a civil servant of the party, who is a worker of the party and is in charge with records, what. That one was also going to be involved. Then finally, the office of the national chairman, the ONC, coordinators at the village, at the district, and the national level are also involved to also oversee, mobilize, and make sure that things don't go wrong. So with those 4 levels of supervision, I believe we should be able to come out with an acceptable and a credible voters register. Secondly, if you find that, let me say, constituency has about 200 villages, yes, you could have a challenge in about 3, 4, 5, even 10 villages, but definitely in the majority of the villages, there is likely not to be any serious problem. And even these 5 or 10, which we can imagine, we can find mitigation measures for them if the people who are participating are serious and have mobilized their people to. And then if we have a clear registration mechanism where this issue of infiltration, mind you, now you must have your national identity card, or you must have a LIN number or a NIN number or a NIRA number if you have just registered, or a voter locational slip. So we are also not going to put in people who are not registered, who will just inflate our registers, and they are not going to be voters at the end of the day. So we believe that with participation, then the process of zero tolerance to corruption, we are going to make it very punitive if any registrar or any official of the registration is involved in corruption tendencies. There then we shall, because that one we shall punish immediately, as you are saying. Our legal team is very vigilant. We shall go and report, because that is a chargeable offense in the laws of Uganda, not even in the NRM as NRM. So we believe we can contain this situation and pour out a clean register and be able to pour out a clean primary. The good thing is the structures are going to be a test run for us as we prepare for the main, where we compete for the national positions.
Well, Felix, you're going to this exercise of updating the voters register, but also implementing the roadmap at a time when there is what some people would call some level of confusion and some level of discussion about succession and transition in this political party. You have a group that is calling itself Patriotic League of Ugandans, who seem to be pulling to another direction. We have the Office of the National Chairman, which is also pushing to another direction. The contradiction that is emerging. Are we not going to see this contradiction playing out in the field there? Whose NRM register are you actually coming up with?
One, I need to correct you that there is no contradictions.
What's going on
within the party?
These are mobilization groups.
These are mobilizers. And
mobilizing for who? That's the
office
issue.
of the national chairman is not different from NRM. National chairman of what? The national chairman of
the
NRM.
party.
So the ONC is not different from NRM.
Why was it necessary for the party chairman to have that kind of office instead of dealing with the secretariat?
Of course, the constitution of the NRM creates the office of the national chairman. And when you go to Chadondo, the space is not that enough for everybody. So the office of the national chairman decided to go to Chambogo.
Does the chairman sit there?
Even today,
Does the chairman sit there at all?
You see, chairman being a president of the Republic of Uganda, there are some security measures sometimes where president can go and sit freely, president can go and interrupt freely, but it is his office, and he runs all these affairs, secretariat. There is coordination. That's why even today you see the coordinator for ONC, Adija Namialo, was there.
People
the other day, the national chairman was meeting teams of secretariat. Even Adija Namialo was there. So ONC is not different.
Actually, to make it very clear,
was the Honorable Michael Mawanda at the NRM Secretariat?
I didn't see him.
The Honorable Michael Mawanda is the face of the Patriotic League of Uganda. At least the person we've been seeing speaking out.
Invited the chairperson of NRM, the registrars, the ONC coordinators,
the admins.
if
And the movement chairperson,
if Michael Mawanda
You
does
said-
not fall
You
under
said
the
these are.
category.
You said all these are mobilizers. So
No.
I was.
If
I
the
thought.
PLU, any member of the PLU does not fall under the said categories who are invited today, then there was no need for Honorable Mawanda to be at the Secretariat. But these PLU issues that people have been discussing, PLU is...
キャリオーズのしぶとい選手ですね、佐藤さん。
we have no problem with them conducting their business because as NRM, if anybody in PLU today comes and pick a form, will run as a member of NRM. He's not going to run as a member of PLU.
Are you sure about that?
No.
They can run as an independent.
If they want to run as an independent, that is their personal opinion and their personal affiliation. But you cannot be a member of PLU and you tell us that you're a member of NRM at the same time. You can only be a member of NRM, but mobilizing in different sectors. Like
So-
me, who have been in Transformer Cadres has had it.
So you're
The members
dissolving-
of
you're-
us had it. No, we are not dissolving the group.
Hey.
We are still mobilizing. We are mobilizing.
Well,
right now, we are going back
For
to
yourselves
mobilize.
or for the party?
We are now going to mobilize for members to register. What happened the other time now? There is a cure here.
All right.
Let us go back, mobilize people registered, become members of the party so that we can have credible election. So I don't want members to be distorted with this thinking that PLU is a problem to NRM. PLU is not a problem to NRM. And in fact, PLU, they are doing their mobilization and we don't have any problem with them.
Let me make one clarification.
Please, Honorable.
ONC and all these other groups are all under the Secretary General. There is no group. The Office of the National Chairman might be doing this and this, but they are all under the Secretary General. That's why since yesterday when we had a training and then today we had a launch, all the teams are together and they are all operating under the Secretary General. But there is a feeling that there is some kind of, but as you know, some groups are, in my language, we call them nyekundire, people who just on their own want to find their mobilization vehicle, mobilizing for the NRM, but in some way different in others. For example, you look at their age bracket, they are mobilizing themselves so that they can come and compete with the judges who are...
The other way we had youth yellow movement.
The youth are also trying to strategize within the NRM
but
to go into the leadership because they are waiting for us to
No,
live
actually, they are not making strategies like you actually said.
Yes.
I had the leader of that group here on this show on Monday, and he was actually speaking against the activities of the PLOU, meaning that there's some sort of competition going on whose ideas should actually be respected or accepted. Those youth in the YYM group are actually saying it should be President Yoweri Museveni to continue leading the party as per the Chove resolution. And we know the PLOU people actually saying it's time for a new blood to take charge. Do you even have room for this kind of discussions in the NRM?
Yes, we have. That's
Really?
why. That's why, for example, all these groups, the Nyekundires, these ones who of the Secretariat, yes, definitely. And at one time, they will all show their interest in whatever levels of leadership they will, and the only chua will be they will compete with them. I think they are trying to mobilize themselves in their groups, but I don't think they are entirely different from the NRM principles. But they are trying to get together to see whether they can also compete for leadership within the party. Because if they lose, they cannot now go to compete outside the party. They have to compete within the party to be able to be flag bearers of the different positions that they are going to occupy. So maybe they are mobilization vehicles, but you know the young people sometimes, if you don't bring them together, because we have given them time to go here and there, but now I think it is high time we begin putting them together so that they go back to the common interests. And once they think that the competition, like now, one of their challenges was the register. If it is cleaned, they can compete within and be able to win if they have support from their villages and from their constituencies where they want to stand.
Now, in reaction to what happened at the NRM Secretariat today and the activities you're going to undertake, your colleagues on the other side, like they say, there's a reflection always in the mirror.
Yes.
I'm talking about your competition, the opposition. They feel aggrieved that while you as the NRM are up and beating, doing your things, they are not being allowed to actually reach out there to prepare the way you're preparing. Does this augur well with democracy and provide you an equal platform to actually compete for the vote in this country?
I have seen that wherever they are organized, like we did before, we asked for permission and our gatherings were officially allowed and what we are doing. I believe if they become organized, they have some of them have been carrying out primaries and whatever to fill their structures in the different areas. For example, FDC in the different branches, they have been carrying out elections and nobody stopped them. Even other parties, I'm sure NUP should be doing the same. I don't know what is happening to DP, but I'm sure they should also, in their different branches, because I'm told they are also as divided as any other group. So we believe they can be. The only thing which I normally see a challenge, like now we were coming to hold the rally, and you go and hold it in the middle of the road in Kampala, and you cross off the road. Of course, security will stop you, because sometimes they want to attract, I don't know whether it is sympathy or to pray to the gallery, but I'm sure if they organize it properly, they should be allowed to conduct their affairs.
We have comments coming in from the listeners. Robert, listening in from Kiandongo District, I would like to know if civil servants are allowed to register as party members, yet they are expected to be neutral politically. That's a comment there from Robert. Another one, a Joy Jobarua boy listening in from Namungona. Electing presidents, the country is a wastage of resources. Let them do what makes them happy. His Excellency is the chief thief in the election and fraud, and he should be the first to be arrested. That's a comment from a listener there, Ajoy Job, who is listening from Amgona. Anthony Ricina says, good evening, Spectrum. I must say that I loved the way NRM has organized their party with respect and always listening to the president with love one another. I pray that they will follow the footsteps set by their leader, the president, not to let our country go down. That's Anthony there with that comment. Bob in Kampala, why does the NRM engage in cleaning the electoral process and calls for cleaning the national elections? He says, why does the NRM party engage in cleaning their electoral process and do not call for cleaning of the national elections? Is that party over and above Uganda? Cleaning party elections with garbage retained in national elections can only generate more garbage. That's Bobby in Kampala. Another person, one of the guiding principles of FDC is placing Uganda's interests over and above those of the party in case where the two may clash. As for the NRM, they prefer to clean their elections and totally ignore cleaning the national elections, even despite repetitive court directives to clean up the national electoral process. That's another comment. Masaba from Mulago says, my home district is Tororo. Let me hope that the data from NRM should not be transferred to the National EC Register as you used to do in the past. Well, those are some of the comments that have come in. Very quickly, Honorable Kijaji, if you can share your responses as we come to the end of this discussion.
Briefly, civil servants. As you know, civil servants are registered voters in the National Electoral Commission register. But they are not, as per se, allowed to openly to go and participate in the elections. But as you know, many people who are civil servants might want in the future to participate. So registering in the register, in the party registers, they are definitely there. They will come and register as long as they are NRM or they are known, whichever parties they are. Of course, they can now not participate in the elective process unless they first resign. But registering to be members of the party, they will definitely register. But they don't go into the campaigns and what. We quietly register, not even quietly, we register them and they you know it. I don't need to tell a lie here. Now, cleaning of the register of the NRM.
Ignoring the national one.
I want you people to be fair to the National Electoral Commission. You know what we are doing. But the National Electoral Commission has continuously been cleaning its register. And you know it. And its register is accessible by everybody. Every time they call, people are allowed to transfer from one place to the other, depending on where they want to do. And they have been doing it. Even you people here have been transferring to go and vote, even during the short voting where there is a by-election and the National Electoral Commission allows. So I think the register has been really improving.
Right.
Let's be confident and be sure that it will work, and we believe it will continue.
Felix, in a few seconds, your closing remarks.
I want to urge every member of NRM to be part and parcel of this process. They should make sure they register themselves and participate in upcoming party structures.
All right.
And make sure that no intruder get into our party register this time around.
All right.
So that we can all free and fair, credible.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.